You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Hey guys, Charge and Hayner present Zoom the TBT, and we are doing our championship week preview. I am back in Brooklyn. And Charge, where are you right now?
I'm actually sitting at the beautiful Fairfield Inn in Dayton, Ohio. So I'm down here. I'm ready to go and excited to do the Dayton preview, the championship week with you.
It's been quite a ride to get to our final 8 teams. So Charge, looking at the left, you got Sideline Cancer and Team 23 vying for the West Virginia Championship, a couple of OG teams, really good veteran teams, and the Upstart Money team and the real Upstart Blue Collar U from your sort of home area of Buffalo. Charge, on that right, what are you seeing?
Yeah, so on the right, just a powerhouse pod here with the Golden Eagles, last year's champions. The last 4 years, they've been nothing but fantastic versus Boeheim's Army, which is one of the teams that have been in this a very long time. They put a lot of resources, let's call it, around putting together a fantastic team this year, and they have not let down to this point. And then down below, and that's the Illinois bracket, and down below in Wichita, obviously Florida TNT, someone that we're really high on despite the 5 seed, versus the Aftershocks, which we'll go in a little more detail. But very surprised to see the Aftershocks. But
a lot of home cooking.
A lot of home cooking.
A lot of home cooking.
Yeah,
a lot of home cooking. I hope they pack those refs. I hope they pack the refs in the bag. Terry, obviously one of those code number 1 seeds, those 5 code number 1 seeds comes out. Charge, biggest surprise looking at this bracket?
To be honest with you, I think it's still Aftershocks. I didn't give Aftershocks a lot of credit coming into the TBT. I felt a lot better about them after they, added Tyrus McGee. He still hasn't shown up big in this tournament so far. So I'm a little bit surprised that we're talking about the Aftershocks in the final 8 still.
I'm actually less surprised the Aftershocks made it, mainly because, again, that home crowd I thought would bring them through. The Blue Collar U team, I knew they were good. I didn't know they were this good. We'll talk about why they're this good as we delve into the matchups, but that was my biggest surprise. But I think you can say, Charge, there's not an unworthy team in this bunch. These are all 8 killing teams, correct?
Oh, yeah. We talked about it all tournament long, that this was a very, very deep, highly skilled TBT this year. I mean, we probably went close to 60 deep of teams that were just legitimate, solid teams that could make a run for this thing. So not surprised. I mean, we saw probably more 5s and 6s than we have seen in the past. A lot of times you get a lot of 1-2s here, as it would be expected, but just shows the depth of the tournament this year.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get right into these matchups. Phil, we're going to do the order of what they're on a television basis, because that's what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to start with the Wichita final, which is the number 5 Florida TNT versus the number 2 Aftershocks tomorrow, or if you're listening to it today on ESPN, 12 noon Eastern. So how they got there, obviously TNT against the Kimchi Express, a much improved Kimchi Express, but didn't have the quality to hang. Very tight game against the Cheaters. And then an upset, a come from behind win against Eberlein. They played really good down the stretch. Charge, the Shocks.
Yeah, the Shocks. So obviously they had that home crowd, took out the number 15 expats, 60-53. Now here's where it got really interesting. These last 2 games were phenomenal. We had the Omaha Blue Crew 76-73. Omaha Blue Crew looked like they were going to pull away with it. This is one of the games we talked about in a good way. The refs let a lot go this year, which is fantastic for viewing. People are loving that, but there was just some blatant misses in this call, and I think Aftershocks is glad to have been the beneficiary of that, especially down the stretch in that last bucket.
That last steal was more of an MMA move, a takedown, than an actual steal, if you ask me.
But you just need to win and move on. And then obviously that Challenge ALS game was fantastic as well. Another just really close one. So they keep shocking the world, the Aftershocks. And you can see on the bottom there some of the stats. Aftershocks are just grinding it out, not an extremely high-scoring team, and that margin of victory at just 4.6 points per game. But like we said, you win and you advance. That's it. So it don't matter how pretty it is. You win, you advance.
Yeah, look at those stats too. That pace thing's interesting. So you have 2 teams playing at very different paces and very different sort of closeness of games. You wonder with that low margin, it's the lowest margin of any of the teams left. And that was being virtually 3 home games. You have to wonder if that home cooking is going to translate. Like, I mean, are they going to be able to play 8-on-5 like they were in some of those games? Both these teams value the ball appropriately. TNT's got some really good rebounding. So delving into the rosters a little bit more carefully. Looking again at Florida TNT, obviously Boynton's leading the way, but a lot of guys got 5 guys scoring double figures. Obviously, they can stroke it. So this is a team that's got, look at those plus minus stats. Andrew Smith's only putting up 5.7 a game, but he's got a plus minus of 47 points. Probably those 2.7 offensive rebounds. That generates a lot of chances. So, Charles, look at that Aftershocks. Obviously, already there's been a roster move.
Yeah. So that's kind of the news there. This team here obviously got a lot of good minutes out of Zach Brown. He was their leading minutes per game, so that's going to be hard to replace. They did add Trey McClain to their roster, so from a total head count standpoint, they're pretty much even. But that's a big blow. Obviously Trey McClain trying to, blend with this team on kind of short turnaround time. We'll see how that falls out. But the performance here really kind of evolving around Kelly, Frankamp, and McDuffie. They've been fantastic and really, great to see an alumni team have a good core of alumni, stepping up. The big surprise to me is we really haven't seen Tyrus McGee go off in any of the games yet. I mean, this is when he was added, people were, blown away. He's blown people away in the past. So I think that's going to be a key to this game. If Aftershocks is going to beat TNT, is what Tyrus McGee brings to the table, and can he take it up another level when the $1 million is on the line?
Yeah, I will say the thing about the Shocks I find real interesting too is losing to Zach Brown. Like, he's not shooting that well, but the plus minus at 26, and I'm a big plus minus guy. I know it doesn't exist in a vacuum, but I find that really fascinating, the hockey statistic. And losing a guy who is your leading plus minus guy on the team, even though he's only shooting 27%, is not helpful. I mean, it's not something that's going to help the Shocks. McClain may help. We'll see. Charge, anything in TNT you found surprising? Anybody you really want to look forward going forward?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really Boynton and Jones. And when we've been doing our preview shows all along, Florida TNT wasn't getting any credit. They were getting stuck with that number 5 seed, and nobody talked about Dominique Jones in any of these, kind of top players and, who to watch for. And, so when you got Boynton and Jones, that's just incredible. Chris Warren just adds another big time score. They've got guys stepping up off the bench. So really deep team. Boynton and Jones, I mean, if I think as good as TNT goes, it's going to still rely on those two. You know, they have the depth, get that good guard play from those guys, and we should see a nice matchup against the Aftershocks.
Yeah, it's a great way to start the day. I mean, seeing two really quality teams, one that was actually not given enough credit to start, one that really had a raucous, great home crowd. I really hope TBT goes back to Wichita. They were amazing again. I think Charge, obviously we can say that we weren't at all the regions. We were at most of them. We were at a decent amount of them. They were all incredible. Like, I think all 4 of these regions deserve to rehost. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, West Virginia was just
$8.6 million in activity. Did you see that article?
That's crazy. I mean, that is just amazing. Great for the city of Charleston. Columbus. I've been to Columbus twice previously, not to the Cavelli Center. You had that experience, but that's always
so impressed. What a great crowd.
Yeah, Carmen's, the Red Scare guys. I mean, just a great audience. Wichita speaks for itself with the volume of people there, and then Peoria just really stood up. I mean, I think a lot of people in Illinois kind of went out. It was great to see Bradley step up, who made an unlikely run as well. So I think it's all great markets and great regionals. Yeah,
I mean, it's interesting too, because we've heard they might go back maybe to an 8x8 maybe one day, and I think that it actually increases the odds of these teams all coming back and having hosts again.
Yeah.
I thought it was incredible.
I hope they go 8x8. I'll put my plug in for Buffalo and Fort Wayne right now. Give those guys some love.
I don't know about Fort Wayne. I mean, it'd be cool, but I will say one thing: the Buffalo thing, I think, has legs. I really do.
Yeah, Fort Wayne, I mean, it's another small market. So I guess we're diverting here a little bit, but
who cares?
I mean, these are some basketball fans out there. And I would love to see it anywhere from selfish reasons, because I got my son living out there now. Indy, Fort Wayne would be perfect. I could go out there and watch some ball. But I mean, Garrett's been involved in this for a long time. Purdue's on the rise, had another nice outing. I know they want to go deeper, but I think that's a great regional.
Yeah, Isaac Haas wants more champagne for me. He wants more.
That's right.
He wants more bounties.
You paid up.
Yeah. Okay, so and don't worry about digressing. We're not on the clock tonight. We don't have guests, so it's just you and me, buddy. So we can digress a little. So let's go to this next matchup. We're going to do the picks at the end. So we're looking at this Golden Eagles Boeheim. This is probably considered the heavyweight fight of the whole thing. How they got there is pretty interesting. The Eagles really obviously crushed the bye team, the B1 Ballers. had a really tight game against Jimmy V. Jimmy V gave him probably the most of a workout they've gotten in quite a while. That's on the end of Jimmy V getting their first TBT win. So again, congratulations to Alex and Vinny and the guys. We're really proud of them, friends of the pod. They got their first win, and many more good things for them to come. And they gave the Golden Eagles a good sweat. Ozzy and Marty worked them pretty hard at the end. They also weren't able to hold on. Charge, Boeheim's Army. How'd they get here?
Yeah, Boeheim. I think we're surprised, even though they kind of ran 3 games, won all 3 games. I think folks were a little surprised that they were so close, much closer. Obviously, they got some little bit of gap on that Bradley game towards the end there, but forces of soul. I mean, this thing was going right down to the Elam ending, and then Heartfire once again, another close one, just a 6-point win, and then Always a Brave challenged them the whole time on their home court. Finally, got to blowing them out towards the end there. So Boeheim's is loaded up. Kiefer Sykes really showed up and looked good. Kane, Kennedy. I mean, so these guys are loaded up with some great Boeheim's alumni. So 3 wins. Everyone should feel great about, but I think some of the critics are like, they didn't blow them out. They didn't look as sharp as they should have. And you can see that in some of the stats, the points per game, a little bit on the light side. Turnovers, 12.7 was big, and that's not typical Tyrese type stuff. I can't remember the one game he had a boatload of turnovers, and you normally don't see that from a guy like that. So there's going to be one where, tremendous battle, 2 really, really good teams. I think this is the game of the day tomorrow. There's just, when you're in the Elite 8, all 4 games are going to be good, but this one here is probably the one I am most interested in, just because this is a heavyweight slugfest that's going to happen there tomorrow.
Yeah, I think this game will be really a lot of fun. I'm really jealous you're there, honestly. If I could justify one more flight, I'd just be out there with you right now. I just can't justify it. But I will say this: it's like, me, I'm a big pace guy. I like to talk about pace of play, style of play. And the differences in these teams, Golden Eagles give up more than Syracuse Illinois are scoring, and the margin's still high, and they're valuing the ball. They're getting 2.2 assists every turnover. That's insanely efficient. The only ways in Syracuse is staying in these games is 2 things. They're going after the ball. They got 11.3 offensive rebounds a game, which when you're having that few possessions means they're really grinding this out. You can see DJ Kennedy and DeAndre Kane's influence, that sort of board work, and they're getting the line set almost 18 times a game. That's nuts. So they're playing a very physical brand of ball. So I think this is one of those games where pace will dictate the result. And one thing to notice if you watch these games is Boeheim's Army is not going to a zone. They're playing much more man. They don't have as many Syracuse alums as they used to. So most of these guys are just playing man, which means the Golden Eagles might be at slightly more of a disadvantage because they'll actually have man matchups, because they would probably be able to shoot Boeheim's Army out of that Syracuse 2-3 zone with their shooting. So I think it's definitely a huge matchup. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Charge. So you're looking at these rosters a little bit. Why don't you take Boeheim's Army? What has impressed you the most on the Boeheim's Army roster so far?
Yeah, I think the thing that stands out with Boeheim's is their depth. They don't have a guy who's really, putting up, let's say, Marcus Key numbers where he pulls a lion's share of the productivity on a team like Sideline. I think they've had a star step up in every game. Chris McCullough was big a couple games back, and then you had Kiefer Sykes last game. To advance them to the round of 8 was huge that game. Malachi Richardson in that first game was red hot. So they're getting production from a lot of different spots. You're getting some, good physical play from Kane and Kennedy. And so this is just a team that, depending on how the game goes or flows, they can flex their style, but they just got a really deep team of performers. And your guy Devendorf looks good out there. And I did see him trash talking a little bit with, I think, Marcellus Somerville towards the end of the one game. So, it wouldn't be a Syracuse team without Devendorf and his he's out there, he's feisty, and he's, getting it done. So, this is just a really deep team that if they gel, if they come together, against this Golden Eagles matchup, it's going to be a really, really good game.
Yeah, the Devendorf thing is interesting because, he's always been their primary offensive anchor. You see him only scoring 5 a game. That's because they're able to use him as a spark player as opposed to having to hold the whole load. I expect him to come up big if needed. It hasn't been needed yet. I think it's a testimony how deep the team is that he hasn't been that crutch he's always had to be. The depth thing is incredible. You're right about that. Both these teams have a lot of depth. The Golden Eagles, they also are playing a lot of guys big minutes. And no surprise, obviously, you look at these 3-point shooting percentages, 40, 41, 37, 38, 45. These guys are just stroking it. So the thing is, will Syracuse be able, with a team that's kind of thrown together, even though they're extremely talented, be able to work through the actions and screens and keep the Eagles from getting these shots off? If the Eagles shoot clean threes, the Eagles will win in a walk, an absolute walk. If they get clean looks the whole game, it's over. So Syracuse has to press. They have to blitz. They have to blitz the screens. They have to do everything to keep them. They have to go over the top. They have to do everything they can to prevent the three ball. If they defend the three ball and rebound, they can win the game. That's what it boils down to. Defense in this game, defense and pace dictating. Charge, what do you think about that? Like, do you think the pace or the defending the three is the key for Syracuse?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Obviously, Jamil Wilson is probably at this stage of the game, I mean, a top 5 in TBT of all time. The guy's just been, knocking it out. I mean, he's just taking care of business. He's so tough. He rips his own jersey in the games now, and it's just, going crazy out there. Bites can light it up. Cook was just phenomenal. Even their older guys, Lejeski, Diener, Blue, Aker, just been phenomenal. So this one here, they can shoot the lights out. They get hot. If they can contain that, Syracuse can step up defensively. Once again, got a great game on their hands.
Yeah, it's just Syracuse just has to make this a slow game. They cannot get out and run. They cannot make this a track meet. They can't make this an open game. They got to treasure the ball, value it, and play tight to the vest. If they do, they win. But they have to slow the Eagles down. That's what it boils down to. Okay, let's keep it moving along real quick here. Now it gets to the evening games. These are going to be the ones that are a little more for the diehards. These are going to be great games, by the way, but they're a little more, we'll call them boutique games. This is the one I'm actually really excited about because these are both close friends of the pod. Our first guest ever, Billy Clapper of Sideline Cancer. His team is in the Elite Eight, and we've got Team 23, Mike Iliano, last seen in my hotel room crashing one night in Columbus. So you've got a really good matchup between two teams that are really talented. And how'd they get there? We can look at this real quick on how they got there. And Sideline played, they sandwiched one big win around 2 extremely tight games. Like, you ever heard this phrase, fuck around and find out? They fucked around and almost found out twice. The Founding Fathers played incredible. They had an emotional game with their leader coming in, taking the tap on his wheelchair, and they played a female, one of the few times that's happened in TBT history. And they played with absolutely no fear, and it took a heroic Elam Indian to get Sideline through. And then against the Buccaneers, they got Thompson in foul trouble. They had them constantly on their heels with their pressing defense. Sideline really came through by the skin of their teeth in that region. I mean, they didn't even look that good most of the time. But again, when you have Marcus Keene, that covers a lot of sins. Charge, about Team 23.
Yeah, and even that 92-71 game against Fort Wayne was right with them until halftime. So they were putting up a fight too, but they were shorthanded. Would have changed the game. Who knows? But that was another one. That game was not decided until the second half. And Team 23, they looked just really good. They showed a lot of grit. Obviously, Mark Hughes has won this tournament before. He's got these guys ready to go. And so Georgia Kings, we expected Team 23 to win, but the victory overheard that on a home crowd. West Virginia, once again, on a home crowd. We knew Team 23 was going to be good, but I think, the strength of their bigs, which we'll talk about a little bit more when we go into their rosters, has been nothing but phenomenal. But that is just gritty. To go into West Virginia, beat that and beat West Virginia just really speaks to the professionalism of the team to be able to handle that kind of environment and, continue to move on.
Yeah, I mean, those are some great games. Obviously, we made a lot of fun about Mike being the new governor of West Virginia, but like, all credit to both Herd That and West Virginia. They were great host teams, played with a lot of fire. They beat some other good teams. D2 showed out real well. Bleed Virginia showed out real well. A lot of teams in that region showed out really well. So hats off to Herd That and West Virginia for being great teams and great hosts, and quite deserving to be in this game. It just didn't happen for them. So great teams, and maybe Ott can get that win in the shootout. So Charles,
I was just going to mention that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, shout out to Odd. He's going to be in the $33,000 shootout, and Odd's already committed to donate $5,000 of his winnings when he wins to correct me if I'm wrong, JCK Foundation, the mental toughness team. Their foundation, I think, is JCK. So
that's the one. That's the one.
Don't hate me. But that's just really good to see them step up. I know the Zip 'em Up coach has also committed, to, and I can't remember the number there, but it just shows, the great community. Sideline Cancer, a lot of people rallied behind them last year and gave some of their resources to Sideline after their, dramatic run last year. And so it's good to see, TBT community continue to pull together. So, I mean, there's some incredible shooters in that contest, and I'll be pulling for Ott as of right now, just because, I mean, for him to go out of his way and try to win for that cause is just speaks a lot to his character. So pulling for Ott. And then you can see the stats down below there, and I'm half blind, and so we're trying to get there. But like I said, I think the thing with Team 23 is you see that 3-point percentage as a team shooting over 40%. We don't have bench points on here, but that was one of the things when I was in West Virginia, really noticing that this team was just blowing teams out with their bench. I mean, so it doesn't only stop at kind of their big three. They have guys stepping up and just really doing a fantastic job.
They have Marcus Hall coming off the bench. They have Marcus Hall coming off the bench. Do you know what a luxury that is to have a guy like him off the bench? One thing about these stats I find interesting is neither team seems to value the ball that much. They both seem to turn over a decent amount. I will say Team 23 was in a couple of pressing games. That might be why. You mentioned the 3-point percentage by Team 23. The thing that they shoot so well from three with the length they have bigs that can pop and shoot threes. And again, such a luxury. Their team construction is really interesting. So Charge, pick either team you want to talk about. You pick. Who do you want to go with on this roster?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Team 23 because I'm just enamored by the play of Raphael Putney and Eric Griffin. These guys here, they're the reason, in my opinion, these guys have made it this far already. I think, the team is deep. They have quality players, throughout. But I just think when you have the size of Putney and Griffin, they both been really physical, playing some great defense. They can stretch the floor, get out there and get to threes. If they can get Eric Thompson out of that paint a little bit, on the perimeter, may open up some opportunities down there because then you got Ochefu as well. So you're throwing another big in the mix. And so it's just the bigs of this team is just incredible. You've got obviously a proven floor general in Walt Lemon, who has been in the NBA and just really knows how to get the job done. But even once you start to get past that, you start to look at some really good defenders. So look at this matchup against Sideline, you got guys like Craig Sword, Dakari Tucker, this Washington guys getting a good amount of steals as well. And so I think that's going to kind of be the key in this game is continue to watch the bench. Can this bench continue to be successful against a team like Sideline, and can they slow down Marcus Keene? So you got a number of guys that can go up and guard him and switch things up a little bit and try to really pressure him and get beat by someone else if everyone, obviously that's what the game plan is slow down Marcus Keene.
Well, that's pretty much is the game plan, because really, I think if you take these two rosters and take the best player on both rosters off, I'd much rather have Team 23's roster. They're both good rosters. Let's be very clear. But Team 23's is a little deeper, a little more versatile, a little longer. So we were on the sideline of Sideline's games. And a few things we noticed were that Eric Thompson got in a lot of foul trouble, and he is their engine on offensive glass. And he only was playing 17 minutes a game because they weren't able to keep him on the floor. That cannot happen against Team 23. If Eric Thompson doesn't play 20 minutes and grab 7 boards, they're losing. That's it. They're going to lose. Jamal Artis showed up big. Trey Lewis has been a complete revelation as a secondary ball handler and scorer, taking some of the pressure off Keenan Artis. It's allowed guys like Abel to go into more of a complementary role and still producing at a high level. Max Yesho showed up really well when they took Thompson on the bench. He should provide a lot of size and a lot of ball movement, so that was good. But let's not screw around here. The game, this will be won on better or not. Basically, will Marcus Keene screw Team 23? Because they're going to be up a certain number of points. And will they be up enough points where Marcus Keene just doesn't go supernova in the Elam? I mean, if Marcus Keene was my size, he would be an NBA rotation player. And if he was 6'5", he would be an NBA all-star. The only reason he's not making $20 million a year is he's 5'9", 5'8". If he was literally my size, 6'2", he'd be making 8 digits. Absolutely no problem in the NBA. Agree?
No, absolutely. I mean, you see him out there. I mean, he's just head and shoulders, talent-wise, above some of these other guys out there, and there's some really, really good guys out there. But when he takes over a game, I mean, there's not a lot of people that can stop him. I mean, he's coming, he's shooting, especially at Elam Ender on that last game. Everyone in the arena knew he was shooting that ball, and still couldn't get the stop on him. So he just makes things happen, and he's fun to watch.
Yeah. We can say this because well, actually, we won't get into that. The whole I'm a bad whatever. But one of my favorite things in the press conferences we were able to cover, and we didn't put the videos up because we just ran out of time, was when Marcus Keene said he had a commitment to come back. So some doubt if he's going to show up. There's doubt he's going to play. And that first press conference, he said he went back, talked to his folks, and his folks convinced him, like, you have a commitment to this team. And that was a big moment for me. It let me know how together they were, how much they value each other as a team. And I thought it's one of those things that makes them a good team, despite the fact that even though they won a lot of games, they won them really close. Charge, this will be a big game, right?
Yeah, and that was a big moment for me too when I picked against them in my bracket because I didn't think Marcus Keene was playing. So.
I did too. Thanks, Marcus. I would have picked you a lot farther.
Come on, we should have gotten a heads up on this one. But
thanks for nothing, Billy.
This is going to be a really good game. Like I said, two friends of the pod, and can't wait to see how this one plays out. First game of the night session, the evening games.
Yeah, one more matchup to get into in our preview is sort of the really interesting one. The money team with Jeff Ledbetter's waving everybody goodbye.
I know who did it better, Mike Iliano or Jeff Ledbetter? I
think physically Ledbetter did it better. I think verbally Mike wins. Let's put it into it's like the Oscars. For sound, we give it to Iliano. For acting, we have Ledbetter. Fair?
Yep, fair enough.
Okay. So how'd they get here? The road was pretty interesting. Probably one of the more entertaining games of that first round was the nerd team against blue collar. We're going to usually get the right, but I wanted to mention that game because I was there. That was a great game. That was one of my favorite games in Columbus. They played really hard. Nerd team had them on the ropes, and they just kind of ran out of gas, much like the D3 team, where just not quite the same level of depth and athletes. And blue collar U was able to wear them down. Charge, you take TMT actually on this one because I want to talk about blue collar because they fasted me. Talk about TMT for a minute.
Yeah, TMT's been impressive, and this is one of these ones. I still think Zip 'em Up is the GM of the year. I think because of the broad.
Agreed.
Even though they haven't won, I mean, they just built this mega brand. But you can make a really good argument for Jordan Crawford on this team. They took a lot of heat last year for coming in there. They showed up with a stack team doing lineup changes. I mean, they just. Imploded last year. It was awful. So coming back this year, you would think they would try to build something bigger, something better, something different, but they could get GM of the year for going back to the basics, getting guys that they know they can trust and kind of really value their brand that we've seen kind of in that team for debt that kind of evolved into TMT. So, I mean, I've just really been impressed with how hard these guys played. They've been a little shorthanded. They got by the region. So the region, every time I've gone deep in the region every time and keep getting burned. I mean, obviously these guys are fun. We like them. We've had them
on. Of course. That was a good game path.
But they didn't show up with Milton Doyle again, and so I'm concerned with them. They're going to have a really good, compelling story to get back in TBT, next year. Just based on 0-5 now, I think. So they've got the talent. They just got to get it all put together. So I was a little surprised with that game. Team Hines, once again, you had Hines. It wasn't the Hines of old with some as loaded as it typically was, but that was a good set of ball players with Clyburn and Hines. I mean, they had talent. TMT scrapped past them. And then to get past Carmen's crew was
what a game.
Insane. I'm still just blows my mind. Injured William Buford, Charge alum guy or not. The writing was on the wall as soon as Diebler missed that three, went for the knockout punch, missed, and TMT just took advantage of that. I mean, Ledbetter has been phenomenal, hitting big shots time after time after time. And so, I mean, they've had a hard road when you think about, the region for being at 12 was much stronger than that. Still struggled. Hines, Carmen's crew. I mean, just incredible for these guys to go back to the basics and make this run and be here right now.
Yeah, definitely. Now on the blue collar U thing, I know you're tight with Buffalo, but I want to take this because I found them to be the most compelling story in Columbus, mainly because they weren't the most compelling story coming in. So you can't watch these guys and not love the way they play. They play very, very blue collar. They play hard nosed. And once they beat the nerd team, they started to kind of find their legs. And you saw in the press conferences the swagger they were walking with because they know they're not the most talented team. They just know they will outwork you. They got every loose ball. And look at these stats. In another 2 games, Zipping Up was credible. Again, I agree. GM of the year because of the branding, because of how great they were and the talent they had. And if Jay Makura plays, might be a different story. We might be having a very different conversation right now. But they did work them. They beat them. You play who's in front of you. And Cat 5 was never really in doubt. Now, the thing about the stats.
Cat 5 would have been a great game, but Rion Brown, their leading scorer, leading rebounder, and one other, and I keep forgetting the other guy who was out. They had 2 guys with COVID and lost them. So this one here could have been much different too, if those guys would have played. So
that's true. That's true.
Not take anything away from Blue Collar U because they keep grinding it out, and I'm sure they're going to hit the anchor bar if they win this thing and spend a little bit of their million on some of the best wings in the world. Actually, Anchor Bar is not my number 1 wing place, but that's a different story. We'll go there a different time. But these guys, like you said, Blue Collar U, they're living up to the name, and no matter how they got there, just like some of the other teams that got ugly wins, you just got to win in advance. That's it.
But the thing about the ugly wins for Blue Collar is that's their style. They're supposed to win ugly. That's what they're designed to do, which in some ways makes this money team thing a really dangerous matchup. So, Charge, you see those pace stats at 90 and 86, and then you see the turnovers. How do you get 90 points but only have 8.5 turnovers a game? That's insane. That's very efficient. So my concern in this game, I mean, they have a 2.1 assist turnover ratio, and they're shooting 44% from 3. That is murderous. These are insane stats. So here's the thing. Blue Collar also wants to play fast, but is it fool's gold to play fast with a team that plays fast and wants to shoot open threes? Like, is there a trap for Blue Collar U in pace here?
I mean, they've stepped up. I mean, with some of these games, I don't see it being a trap. I think their style of play, they'll flex to wherever they need to go. They need to batten down the hatches and slow down. But I think this is going to be a fast-paced game. Obviously Jordan Crawford, he's not slowing it down for nothing. He's going to push the pace, and I think Blue Collar. We'll talk about the players in a second. I've got a really, really big concern with Blue Collar, but I think they'll be fine.
Well, you got a really big concern with Blue Collar. Go ahead and say it. What's your big concern?
My big concern is Wes Clark. I haven't been able to confirm if Wes Clark is playing or not. He was on crutches at the end of the game prior. I guess that would have been the Zip 'em Up game. They were still able to get past, or no, was it halftime? All right, so don't quote me on it because I don't. Either way, he was hurt and he was on crutches. He said it wasn't too bad, and he hoped to be playing by the weekend. However, they did go on and pick up Eric Neal, another point guard, so they added him. So that points to Wes Clark not playing. So neither confirmed or denied his status. But when you talked about that three-point shooting, 52.6%, he's their leading scorer. I mean, the guy just does a little bit of everything out there. So
he's their second leading rebounder, too. And I met the guy. He's built like a little boulder. Like, he's a very physical guard.
So super concerned if he does not play, because the money team, when you touch on them, very, very deep. But you still got Massenberg, you still got Perkins. So you got those blue collar guys that are still tough, high caliber players. So you can lean on them a little bit more and push them a little bit more. But you're kind of going from this 3-headed monster down to a couple guys to rely on. So it'll be a little easier to defend against. But that's the wild card. Wes Clark plays. I think this is a phenomenal game. Wes Clark doesn't play. I think, we may see TMT, moving along. We'll see.
We'll see because, Wes Clark is their engine. Massenberg's obviously high quality. And they have a bunch of different players who play hard. Not a lot of weapons, but a lot of players play hard. So get the distinction there. Guys who play a role. So Blue Collar's got a lot of guys who can hurt you, but not a lot of guys who can create their own shot compared to Clark or Massenberg. So we'll have to see if Clark plays. Now, the exact opposite's the money team. Like, they've got shooters on top of shooters with shooters on the side. They've got skill, but they're not particularly deep. They don't play a lot of guys. So the thing of Blue Collars, they're going to have to come out here and really make this a physical game. They have to make this a street fight. Like, if they try to outskill the money team or try to outshoot them, this will not go very well. They're going to have to make this a fight. Charge, would you agree this has to be a street fight for Blue Collar U to win?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think they're going to need to get physical. I think they're going to get them hopefully off their game if they plan on winning. And the reason they didn't play too many guys is they didn't have too many guys. They had to activate their assistant coach, EJ Gallup, to possibly step in if needed. So, the good news for the money team is, though, they do have Malcolm Thomas. So, guy's got some NBA experience on his resume, so he can add some depth. And then, who knows where they're going to plug in Jonathan Simmons. You don't see him on the list because he didn't play. He remained on the roster, and I'm being told Jonathan Simmons will play in this game. So once again, I haven't seen him live or confirmed it live, but that's what the streets are saying. So we'll see. And
what the streets are saying.
The streets are saying.
The streets are hot.
And Jonathan Simmons obviously could be a very big ad here, but I just love, that they were a little thin and gritted it out and just had, 5-6 guys that they could trust out there and get the job done, and just been impressive how they've gritted out every single game.
Yeah, and again, Jeff Ledbetter with the waving goodbye was a priceless moment in TBT. And when you shoot 56% from three, you can wave wherever the hell you want.
Yeah. He was phenomenal. And then Jordan Crawford at 7.7 assists per game. I mean, he just opens up so many things for his team. Obviously a Charge guy, so I'm fond of him. But I think when
you're a Charge fan?
No, just a little. See, I didn't even wear Charge today. Actually, you're not doing video, but Cleveland today. So
no, we're doing video. There's an inset video.
I thought you weren't doing video. All right.
No, we're gonna see your pretty face and my face. No problem. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. But just a little bit of a Charge fan, but Crawford's been phenomenal. And, even when he's not dropping shots and making things happen, the shot extremely well. Early on, he obviously still worked his way back up to, 35% from three, but he can make things happen in a lot of different ways, whether defensively or facilitating. So, incredible team. Munford was insane last game. I mean,
really good. Well, it should be a fun matchup. If Wes Clark shows up, we got a game. Okay, so let's get to the picks. So we have our panel, Matt, Brandon, and Alan. Thanks again for helping us out. We have the quarters. We picked all the way through. We have the quarters, the semis, and the final. And you can see kind of where we were thinking here. You see those top 4 picks are the games you're going to see Saturday. We're picking the Sunday matchups unseen, and we're picking who we have as our champions. Charge, of the first 4 picks you have for tomorrow or for Saturday, which one are you most confident about?
TNT, Terry and TNT. My luck, Aftershocks have burned me again, which, like I said, happy for those guys playing so well. I mean, that's what the beauty of the tournament is. People show up, they play hard, and anything can happen. But I'm just really confident in TNT, Dominique Jones, Kenny Boynton. I think they get it done unless something changes. Tyrese McGee throws up some points. Him and Frank Camp can go off and match those two, shot for shot. I'll feel a little different about it, but I just think TNT's got a little more, bullets in the gun, and look for them to take it.
I won't really drag this out by saying which one I'm more confident about. So I agree. I'm most confident in TNT. I think they're all going to be great games. I think they're all basically coin flips, but I think TNT is the most likely to win. Charge, which pick are you least confident about?
Team 23 is probably what I'm least confident in. I think this is, to your point, a coin toss, phenomenal team in Sideline Cancer. And it's almost weird picking against them, but I just really like how well Putney and Griffin have played. Mark Hughes has coached this team, and Sideline Cancer, we mentioned, it's almost like the Boeheim's Army one that we talked about. And then you can see I kind of went the opposite direction. Both of those teams are upper echelon, old school. They've been here for a while, have a lot of success, but they have not looked as crisp as I'd like them to in the tournament so far. So both of those, I kind of went the other way with Eagles and Team 23, but the Team 23 one is probably the one I would be most nervous about missing on.
I think that's a coin flip, but I think almost all of them are coin flips. So the one I'm least confident of from an injury standpoint is the blue collar you pick because of Wes Clark, but I really think they're kind of a team of destiny. So I really do have them winning one more game. I think there's something about this team, having watched them, is really, I find there's some energy they have, just almost like a spiritual insanity. I think is going to make them win. And I think Sideline 23 is a true coin flip. So that could go either way. But I'm least confident in Boeheim's Army because I made the pick and I started delving into the stats. Now I'm actually wondering, how is Boeheim's Army going to defend the Eagles? Like, they'll find their rebounds, they'll find enough points to scratch it out. But like, I'm really interested to see how they're going to defend the Eagles. If they defend that game, they'll win. If they defend the Eagles off the 3-1 line, they'll win. But I'm not as confident they'll be able to. Just one of those things.
Yeah,
so
it's crazy. I mean, all 8 of these teams can, make a run for it. Nobody got here by accident, and it making these calls is tough. Bottom line.
Absolutely. Charge, you obviously picked the Eagles. I picked Sideline. If you had to pick a team other than the Eagles, who would you pick?
If I had to pick someone else than the Eagles, so you're going all the way down to the. I really like TMT. So that's obviously who I had in the finals. There's just something about this TMT team that I was not seeing at the beginning when we first started doing some of the bracketology. We knew they would be a good team, but almost like your UB pick, there's something about TMT that just does not seem like they want to and will lose. They keep finding ways to win. They've overcome the obstacles. They were down. They were shorthanded. It didn't matter what it was, but they just seem like a team of destiny this year. I still feel a little strong about Golden Eagles. They're well-oiled. They did exactly what you think a championship team would do in the early rounds of the TBT. Their top performers performed. They blew out the teams they should have blown out. But I just really think this TMT's got something there with Crawford and Ledbetter. That's just kind of the same thing. Just a little bit special, and not going to be the one everyone rallies behind, but they're going to be there and show up for it.
I would think that's a really good take. Mine's a little bit different. I think the winner of the Team 23 Sideline Cancer wins the whole thing. I have Sideline winning, but if they lose 23, I change all my picks to 23 going forward. And the thing about 23 I find interesting is, like, again, that constructive length thing. They have guys who are 6'9", 6'10", who can stroke it from deep. That's a dangerous combination of that kind of length, that kind of shooting. That was a very hard game to pick, and I think the winner of that game does win the whole thing. Yeah, I think that's quite possible. So, Charge, what is the energy like in Dayton right now, by the way? I'm just curious. Like, what's going on there?
I guess we're going to find out. I didn't even make it down towards the Marriott tonight. I drove in from Cleveland, and so believe it or not, I took a break from basketball and went and saw the Lake County Captains across the street from the Fairfield Inn here to check out some baseball from my Cleveland guys, and the atmosphere there was great. So if that speaks any bit to who's going to show up in Dayton, hopefully this Dayton crowd shows up. They don't have a rooting interest in anybody, but it's a great city. Incredible city. Like I say, great fans at this baseball game, and I hope they pull some great fans into the Dayton arena tomorrow. So we'll find out tomorrow. I'll obviously be tweeting from my Charge Nation account,
follow
account. So make sure you guys are following. But I'll get plenty of updates tomorrow on the atmosphere and how things are feeling live from the Dayton arena.
Now, did you get the other press pass already? Do you have the one from Dayton? I think it's a different pass.
No, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I didn't head down that way. That's about 10 minutes away from here. So I just rolled in and pulled in the hotel and getting settled in, and we'll be at it tomorrow early. So can't wait.
Should be fun. All right, Charge. It's been a wonderful season. We got maybe one or two more in us. We'll probably do a finals preview, but for now, I guess we're close tonight. So, Charge, any closing thoughts? Are we good?
No, we're good. Like I said, it's going to be a great great slate of games tomorrow. Right at the end, I'm tripping up.
It happens. It's been a long journey. Yeah, so on that note, then we go to Dayton tomorrow with Charge in person and me from the bunker in Brooklyn. This has been Zoom the TBT's Championship Week preview. Signing off.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.